Welcome to Paradigms at paradigms.life, the radio show and podcast that brings you inspiring people with visions of a viable future for life on Earth that includes humans. Hi, I'm Baruch, host of Paradigms. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. I've got a wonderful guest. She's just released her first record. She's been singing since she was a child, but she finally went and made a record, and it's really great. If you like bluegrass, you're going to really enjoy this music, and she's going to talk to us about the making of it and some other issues that are of global importance we'll touch on. So let's meet my guest right now on this episode of Paradigms. Shannon Leigh Reynolds, welcome to Paradigms.
Thank you.
I really have been enjoying your new record, Triple Shot.
Thank you.
It's your debut album.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've had a lot of fun with it. I love this kind of music. I grew up in Vermont in the hills.
Oh, wow.
Going to Jake's barn on Friday night, for the hoedown. I mean, literally. And so hearing this music, some of the songs are songs we really know. And some of them are your originals, which is really, I love that you combine that together. And your originals are so in the genre that it's like they fit into the canon. You would think, oh, that's another one of those songs. Oh, wait, she wrote that one?
Oh, thank you. That's a great compliment. Thank you.
Well, it's been really fun to listen to, and you have a couple of real favorites of mine on there. So
great.
We'll get into that. But I want to ask you just about yourself and how you got into music and what brought you to make this record and the amazing players on it. So how did you become a musician?
Oh, well, yeah, it's kind of a roundabout way. It's something that happened later in life for me. I grew up in Georgia, and was listening a little bit to country music in the 80s and 90s, more rock and roll at the time. I used to actually do a lot of driving. I used to ride horses. And so I would drive a lot to the barn and back every day. And I would sing in the car, and I didn't really think much of it. I just sort of enjoyed it, got a lot of joy out of it. And it kept me busy on the long drive. But when I got into college, I dated someone whose dad had been a banjo player in a bluegrass band in like the 60s and 70s. And that was the first time I really ever heard bluegrass and classic country. And it was just like the sound that I'd been looking for, and really kind of got into it at that point. And then I moved to the Washington, D.C. area not too long after that, where it's the bluegrass capital. And I was thrilled to find, that they had a radio station that played bluegrass music from 3 to 6 p.m. every day, and then all day on Saturdays. It was just great. And so decided at that point to pick up the banjo. Wasn't really great at the banjo, so I kind of gave that up after a while, but I did meet one of my musical partners through playing the banjo. And eventually I decided to switch to the guitar and focus more on my voice and singing and start songwriting at that point. And yeah, it just kind of blossomed from there. And, I've been playing in the Washington, D.C. area for maybe about 15 years now. And at one point prior to the pandemic, I had hooked up with Dee Dee Weiland as a voice teacher. And we had talked about producing a record and putting a record out or an album out there. And of course, the pandemic happened and that kind of dampened plans. But once, kind of the world started turning again, I said, hey, let's do this. And we put together, a great group of musicians, I think, and got a great sound engineer. And it just kind of took off from there. So, yeah, I'm really thrilled with the way that it turned out. I think it sounds great.
The record really came out great.
Thank you.
It's really, like I said, it's part of the genre now.
Yeah.
And you've really got a voice. You've got a set of pipes on you.
Thank you. Yeah, I've definitely worked on it. You know, there's so much emphasis in bluegrass on playing instruments, and jams are really kind of focused around those. And, so I focused probably a little more on that than I should have earlier in the beginning. I'm not much of an instrumentalist, so admittedly. So I decided at some point, I really should focus more on my voice, and that's when I started working with Dee Dee, and it really has turned out. It definitely worked out very well, I think.
Oh yeah, your voice sounds great on the record, just fantastic. One of the things people will hear when they hear these songs, especially the ones that they know, is it will remind them of the other versions that they know. It's always an interesting thing to cover material that's been covered extensively and to add your piece to its story. So like a song like Break My Mind, I started that song I first heard was the Linda Ronstadt version back a million years ago. Graham Parsons did it. A lot of people performed that song. It's a great song. You do a beautiful job with it. But I'm interested in what was it like to take this well-loved, well-known vehicle and drive it your way?
Yeah. Well, I looked at all the different versions of it out there. I think you mentioned Linda Ronstadt. There was a Vern Gosdin did one, and Dolly Parton did a really great version live. I think that was on the Porter Wagoner show back a long time ago. And it was kind of looked at those different versions and, took it with the kind of a bluegrass angle and just sort of put my own spin on it, I think. And I think it most closely aligns with the Dolly Parton version. Her version, what really struck me about it is it had these great harmonies. And so I really wanted to emphasize that in this song.
Well, that was another thing I wanted to ask you about. So that's perfect, is that the harmonies on the record are really lovely. And some of them are complex.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
They took some arranging and figuring out, and I'm just interested in that whole process for you.
Sure. Yeah. I had a lot of help with Dee Dee on that. She is just masterful at all aspects of singing. And we worked out the harmonies together, and she worked with the harmony singers. Well, we both kind of did in the studio to make those turn out. But we really had some talented singers. Just listening to some of those isolated harmony tracks, some of them were really complicated, and it was really impressive that the singers worked them out the way they did. They were great.
I'm talking with Shannon Leigh Reynolds about her new record Triple Shot. Let's listen to some of it, and then we'll be back with more conversation. So let's start out with Break My Mind. This is Paradigms at paradigms.life.
Baby, oh baby, tell the man at the ticket stand that you changed your mind. Let me run on out and tell the cab to keep his meter flying. 'Cause if you say goodbye to me, baby, you're gonna break my mind. Break my mind, break my mind. Well, I just can't stand to hear the big jet engines whine. Break my mind, break my mind, oh Lord. Well, if you leave, you're gonna leave a babbling fool behind. Baby, oh baby, well, let me take your suitcase off that scale in time. Tell the man that you suddenly developed a thing about high flying. 'Cause if you say goodbye to me, baby, you're gonna break my mind. Break my mind, break my mind. Well, I just can't stand to hear the big jet engines whine. Break my mind, break my mind, oh Lord. Well, if you leave, you're gonna leave a babbling fool behind. return to my piney wood home. Maybe someday I'll find someone who will love as I love my piney wood hills. I was raised on a song there. I done right, I done wrong there. And it's true I belong there. And it's true it's my home. I'll return to the woodlands. I'll return to the snow. I'll return to the hills and the valley below. I'll return like a poor man or a king if God wills. But I'm on my way home to the piney wood hills.
That's Shannon Leigh Reynolds with her versions of Piney Wood Hills and Break My Mind. And I think she did a great job on both. Really wonderful. They're two great songs. We're going to get back to my conversation with Shannon, and then we're going to hear some of her original songs. You know, we'll get into your originals in a minute, but I want to tell you also, Piney Wood Hills is like an old favorite. You know, Buffy St.
Yeah.
Marie really made that one famous, I think, and you did just a beautiful job. And as soon as it comes on, part of what happens with these songs that we know is they come on and we're immediately sort of home with it, you know, even if it's a new version. And so it's like you've invoked our goodwill immediately.
Thank you. Great. Yeah. Well, I can say that I really loved singing that song. There are some songs on the album where I really just could let my voice go, and that was definitely one of them.
Yeah, you really belt it out.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the originals. The album is mostly originals. I mean, I think it's, or at least half or so. And they're really, really good songs, you know, starting out with the first track on the album, Closer to You. I mean, it's a lovely love song.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I wrote that one from the perspective of my husband. When we met, he fell in love with me right away, and I took a little bit of time, maybe about 4 years, and went through dating someone else while we were friends. And I kind of thought back to that time about how he just kind of hung in there and was my friend, and just waited until the right moment. And I think he could tell, that I had feelings for him throughout that time, and he was just willing to hold on. And that song is a lot about, I think, what he probably experienced. But yeah, he said to me at one point, I asked him about, during that time, well, what were you thinking? He said, well, I just wanted you in my life, no matter what, whether we were just friends or anything. And so that's kind of what inspired the, I don't want to say I do. I just want to get a little bit closer to you. And that was kind of inspired by his perspective during that time.
How do the songs come to you? I mean, I talk with lots of people, and it's fascinating the different ways people are inspired. Some people get it in their sleep. They wake up and they've downloaded a whole song. Some people sit and labor at it with it. And, or some people are going through their day and suddenly, oh God, I got to sing this into my phone. What's your process?
It's kind of all of the above. It's really great when you have something that just kind of falls in your lap. And, there are times when I'll just come up with a whole chorus, which is great because then you can kind of build something around that. And definitely, I have learned that when an inspiration, an idea comes to you, you got to write it down right away because it is gone definitely after that. But I would say more often than not, I kind of labor at it. I have to sit down regularly every evening and put time into it. And sometimes nothing comes of that. Sometimes a lot comes of it. And, you'll realize that songs will kind of morph over time. Like Closer to You started out as sort of this sort of nebulous idea. And it really, I guess I can't even remember exactly, but it just kind of settled into this, oh, this is what this is about, and then it just kind of took off from there. So, I think things just kind of come to me just throughout the day. And, especially if I can come up with a good hook, I will write that down right away. But yeah, it's I would say, all of those things happen to me, but mostly it's a lot of just putting the time into it and thinking about it.
And what comes first, or do they come together, lyrics or music, or is it different with different songs?
It depends. I think for me, it's lyrics most often. And, I'll kind of go searching for a melody after that. I have worked with other musicians who will come up with music and they'll say, hey, can you put words to that? And, it's kind of hard to connect to whatever inspired them without a really good description. And sometimes I try to play off of that. Sometimes I can. But sometimes it'll hit me, as well. Like, oh, this is what I think this is about. And sometimes I'm successful that way, but more often than not, for me, it's a lyric, and I find music to go along with it. But I will say that, the lyric is what inspires it. And sometimes it comes along with music, but I am not really able to write a song until I find the melody, because it just, for me, the lyrics then have to fit into it, but it's really the lyrics that inspire it.
Okay, as promised, here are a couple of Shannon Leigh Reynolds' original songs, starting out with Closer to You.
Midnight round and round about, I'm stuck in a circle, won't you pull me out? This tattered love letter hidden in my vest speaks to a feeling growing in my chest. Ooh, gotta get it to you. I've heard rumors, but I got my doubts. See you and your woman gonna work it out. I'll be drifting, suspended in time, listening for your voice in the static on the line. Oh, I hear it soft and low. Oh, so I really wanna know what I gotta do. What can I say to make you wanna come on and turn my way? I'm not trying to make you say I do. I just wanna get a little bit closer to you, closer to you. and turn my way. I'm not trying to make you say I do. I just want to get a little bit closer to you. Closer, closer to you. Closer. Living in a great dream, straight to my world falling apart at the seams, and all the good times gone. I saw walls crumbling to the ground, snakes in the grass following me around. Didn't know my life could get so unwound, but it'll straighten out before too long if I just hold on. Yeah, you know I gotta hold on for another day. Keep the faith that things are gonna go my way. If I can make it through my troubles today, pretty soon they'll be gone if I just hold on. The faith that things are gonna go our way. If we can make it through our troubles today, pretty soon they'll be gone if we just hold on. Yeah, hold on. Don't you know we gotta hold on.
You just heard a song called Hold On, and before that, Closer to You, both songs by Shannon Leigh Reynolds from her new record, Triple Shot. And now let's get back to my conversation with Shannon. This is Paradigms at paradigms.life. Here you are, this person going through your life. You said, you started doing this later in life. And what else have you been doing?
Yeah. Well, that's, I spent actually a lot of time, I am a trained biologist. So I spent a long time in school, and that's actually one of the reasons that I picked up the banjo, was because, I was doing all this academic study, and I realized, I just want something that's not related to this at all, that I can do with my hands, that I can kind of use other parts of my brain. And that's kind of how I got into that. But yeah, I'm definitely really into nature, hiking, all of that kind of stuff. I like doing outdoorsy things. And to support myself, I work in that line as a biologist for contractors that do things for the government.
So you've probably been watching, like all of us, what's happening climate-wise this summer with bated breath.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just from a biologist perspective and somebody who knows about ecology, more in a more technical sense, I try not to go off too much into my actual thoughts because it's a little dark. But yeah, it's scary. It definitely is scary. And I would hope that this summer is a wake up call for a lot of folks. 8 billion people on the earth is a lot of people to convince that we need to change our ways. So just have to keep at it.
And on this show, we're allowed to talk about that stuff because I see all these things as connected. I see the wonder of human creativity as the place where we will find solutions to the problems of human short-sightedness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think music inspires all kinds of thought, on both sides. But yeah, I try to keep my music, in a vein that appeals to a lot of people, but and not too many direct messages, but I definitely agree, that this is a medium through which we can inspire all kinds of people all over the world.
One of the things I've learned is, and I've gotten a little bit better at this, is you don't have to hit people over the head with a message. You can just appeal to their actual humanity and love of life. And then they will sort of organically figure things out. Not always, but a lot.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think if you hit them over the head, they will definitely not do that. But yeah. The more you keep the dialogue open, I think that's definitely, the way to go.
To go back to the record, because I really, really enjoyed it. You have more covers on here that are just fantastic. Okay, so we all know Mystery Train. Everybody knows that song. I mean, and it comes on, and it's such a fun song,
Yeah.
and it's fun to sing it. It's got to be fun to play it. And you close the album with it. And why? I mean, I love it. I'm not questioning it as a choice, but I'm just interested in your thinking.
Oh, yeah. Well, I kind of like to put a point on it. And I thought a good fast paced, intense song would be a good way to just sign off the album. I think I actually originally had Hold On, which is another one of my originals last, but we were talking about it in the studio and it's like, you got to really give it a good punch at the end. Yeah. Yeah. And that one was, it's just really great. I love the instruments on that song just really take off. And, my friend Keith Arneson played the banjo and his solo on there is one of my favorite parts of the record.
There's some really great musicianship on this record.
Yeah. Definitely.
The banjo. And who's playing mandolin?
It's John Seebach. He's a local musician.
He kicks it.
Yeah, he's great. He was also one of the harmony singers, and he's got a beautiful voice. I just really love his musicianship.
No, it's really wonderful. And then who else is on this record?
Yeah, so Mark Schatz played bass. He was just wonderful and had all kinds of ideas to contribute as well. It was really nice to work with him. Also worked with Fred Travers from The Seldom Scene and Ron Stewart, also from The Seldom Scene. He kind of added his tracks remotely, so I didn't get to work with him in the studio, but just loved what he added to it. And Fred, also just, he's one of my favorite dobro players. He's just awesome. And then Keith Arneson, who's formerly of the U.S. Navy band Country Current, their bluegrass unit and country band as well. I've known him for a long time. We're good friends, and he's just an amazing musician. Let's see. And then we also had John Seebach that I mentioned on mandolin and Danny Nicely on guitar. He's a really versatile musician that I think is not at all limited to bluegrass. And I had heard he was playing guitar with another group. And I said, hey, let's see how this will work out. And he was just fantastic. Randy Barrett, who's another local musician.
Who's the fiddle player?
Oh, that's Ron Stewart. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. He's just great. Yeah.
Really, really good.
Yeah. He's great. Then I had Fred Travers, John Seebach, Randy Barrett, who's another local musician, and then my friend Michelle Hannon, who's also a local musician. They all added their lovely voices to the harmonies.
We'll be back with more of my conversation with Shannon Leigh Reynolds, but first, here's a song called I Wish It Would Rain.
Hide in here, oh, love and a memory sparkles like diamonds. When the diamonds fall, they burn like tears. When the diamonds fall, they burn like tears. Once I had a love from the Georgia pines who only cared for me. I've got a heart on my right and one on my left, but neither suits my needs. Now the one I love is way out west, but he never will need me. So I wish it would rain and wash my face clean. I want to find some dark cloud to hide in here. Oh, love in a memory sparkles like diamonds. When the diamonds fall, they burn like tears. When the diamonds fall, they burn like tears. The Gulf Coast plains. I want to walk the streets of my own hometown where everybody knows my name. I want to ride the waves down in Galveston when the hurricanes blow in. 'Cause that Gulf Coast water tastes sweet as wine when your heart's rolling home in the wind. So I wish it would rain and wash my face clean. I want to find some dark cloud to hide in here. Oh, love in a memory sparkles like diamonds. When the diamonds fall, they burn like tears. When the diamonds fall, they burn like tears. When the diamonds fall, darling, they burn like tears.
I Wish It Would Rain. That's Shannon Leigh Reynolds from her new record, Triple Shot. And now here's some more of my conversation with Shannon. Now, are you taking this on the road?
I would love to, but I can't really afford it. So I think I will probably mostly be local. But I mean, it would be great if I could get a little more coverage and tour regionally. That would be lovely. I'd love it. But at this point, I think a tour probably wouldn't work out for me financially, unfortunately.
Well, it's super expensive to put a tour together. People may not realize, I mean, yes, ticket prices are insane for the big shows, and that's another conversation. But really, It's a lot of money and time and energy and coordinating. So does that mean you're like doing little solo gigs locally, or do some of folks come and play with you? What does that look like?
I'm putting together a band, Keith Arneson and my friend Mary Naden on bass. And then I'm picking up at least, one other person, maybe on mandolin and guitar, still looking for that person. But yeah, I'm working on booking shows in the DC, Baltimore area.
You brought to mind, well, especially since you're in the DC area, of course, Mary Chapin Carpenters in your zone.
Yeah.
Both geographically and musically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, some of just my favorite artists are in this genre. You know, I mean, Emmylou Harris and, you know, Dolly, these incredible people, Linda. So it's so wonderful to like hear a new person joining the club, kind of.
Oh, thank you. That's an honorable club to be in, for sure.
It sure is. Those are some pretty amazing women. So I hope you get to meet some of them. I just have a feeling
that'd be
they
great.
should hear you. So you got this record out. It's called Triple Shot. It's really awesome. People can download it. What's next on the agenda? I mean, are you writing more stuff? Do you have another project already in the works?
Oh, definitely. I'm always working on new songs, always looking for new covers that I can, you know, use and take and make them my own. And yeah, I've already talked to Dee Dee and Jim Robeson, who was the engineer. I said, hey, you know, maybe let's think about it about a year from now. Let's maybe do another one. Because I will say, working in the studio, it's expensive to put an album together, but it's so addictive, you know, because gosh, what comes out of it, if you've got all the right elements, it's just so great. I definitely would like to put another album out pretty soon.
Well, hopefully this one sells enough to finance the next one. That's sort of how people do it, I think.
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. It's unfortunately, you know, with streaming these days, it really cuts into that. But you know, if you kind of work that angle too, you can also increase sales just by getting more recognition.
Well, you know, it's interesting because a lot of people self-publish now. You know, did you self-publish or did you go through a company?
It's self-released. I mean, I named my record company Good Bygone Records. But I approached a couple of record companies in this area. One of them wasn't interested, and the other one just, you know, we couldn't work it out before I really needed to put it out. I said, you know what, let me just self-release this. And, you know, I worked with a radio promoter, which is essential. If you're going to self-release, you've got to work with somebody who knows people who can get you heard. And that's worked out really well.
Well, that's how I found you, through Art.
Yeah.
Who is, I just, you know, shout out to Art. He's awesome.
Yes, he is. He really
awesome.
is.
He sends me great people. So when you self-release, you can hopefully also set it up so that you get more of the actual money when people buy it.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you can set it up where you get all of the proceeds from sales and any royalties from radio. And of course, if you're a songwriter, you know, and you self-publish, you get all of those as well. So yeah, it's not, you know, I'm not going to be making $1 million, that's for sure. But, you know, at least a little bit comes back to you.
I'm asking you about that and happy to hear you talk about it because I want listeners to understand it. You know, when we stream on the big streaming apps, the artist gets literally maybe 1 or 2 pennies. It's really not much. So if you love art, if you love the music, support the artist by downloading at least like Bandcamp and if some folks, you know, direct downloads from their websites, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I make a point myself, like I will use streaming services to discover new music. You know, Spotify is a good program for doing that. But, you know, if I really find something that I love, I always buy, you know, the songs or the album.
Yeah.
My iPhone and iPads are just full. I'm always getting notifications like, hey.
We'll be back with the final part of my conversation with Shannon Leigh Reynolds, talking about her new record, Triple Shot. Here's another track from the record. This one's called Not for Long.
It was hotter than a blue blaze in mid-July. You were turning the heat up, trying to make me cry. You'd been about as bad as a man could be, but here you were laying the blame on me. So it was time to hit the road and say goodbye. You came back begging with tears in your eyes, but that lipstick on your collar betrays your lies. I've spent too many of my good years drying up the tracks of crocodile tears. Yeah, I got one truth, let me make you wise. You can hurt me, but not for long. You're one in a long line that's done me wrong. I didn't just get here yesterday, and my schooling came the hard way, so I know how to move along.
Not for Long, Shannon Leigh Reynolds from her new record Triple Shot. All right, here is the final part of my conversation with Shannon. I have one last question, and I like to ask this because I just think it's interesting. And again, I'm always wanting listeners to like pick up on it. Like, okay, so in order to do this, you had to give yourself permission to be heard, to use your voice, to put your words out there, to take other people's words and make them your own. It's not actually a little thing. It's a big inner process, and it's different for everybody. And I'm curious about that for you.
Oh, I am kind of actually, a private person, and so putting yourself out there, putting your emotions in a song, that you wrote, it's very personal. And so it's definitely, you kind of have to accept that vulnerability and be ready for whatever comes. I've heard nothing but good things come my way from what I've put out. But I understand that not everything that I'm going to do is going to be everybody's cup of tea. But yeah, you just kind of, at least for me, you have to kind of accept that vulnerability, but also kind of the joy that comes with it. I mean, when people hear what you have done and they go, wow, that's great. That is so inspiring. And, it just makes me so excited to do more.
It's really wonderful. The record is really, really wonderful.
Thank you.
I love talking with you. You have a great energy, and it's so exciting when people are, blooming.
Great. Thank you. Yeah. I hope that keeps going for me. Absolutely.
Well, keep in touch and let me know when the next record comes out, and I'm sure Art will. Yeah. And good luck with your ventures, and just keep singing and playing and writing, and more power to you.
Will do. And thank you so much for the interview. It's an honor to be on here.
Shannon Leigh Reynolds, thank you so much for being on Paradigms. Really enjoyed talking with you, and love the new record, Triple Shot. It's really good. I'm an old bluegrass fan, and you hit the nail on the head. If you're in the D.C. area, definitely keep your eye open. And if you see that Shannon is performing, go hear her. I think it would be a really great show. And if you'd like to know more about Shannon Leigh Reynolds, her website is shannonleighband.com, ShannonLeighband.com. But the main thing is listen to the music. Bluegrass is music that's so of the earth somehow. Just love it. All right. Well, Shannon Leigh Reynolds, great work. Keep it up. Can't wait to hear the next record. And if you enjoyed this episode of Paradigms, I hope you'll check out the Paradigms website at paradigms.life, where you'll find this episode and many, many more, going back 14 years, hundreds of artists, all bringing us their inspiration. And can't we just use a lot of that right about now? And remember, you can find Paradigms wherever you find your podcasts. The show is on at least a dozen podcast sites by now, and also airs on about a dozen community radio stations around the United States. If you'd like Paradigms to be broadcast on your local radio station, let them know. Let us know. It can happen. All right. I think one of the reasons this music is so comforting right about now is that so many things are so disturbing right about now. I don't know about you, but I spend a fair amount of time pondering the state of humanity and the world. It seems to me that there's so much fear that sends people into anger, and we know that fear interferes with clear thinking. It literally makes your brain not think as well because you go into survival mode. It's so important that we recognize our fear, but not let it dominate our awareness. And certainly there are things in the world to be angry about. There are behaviors people do that I think are unacceptable in terms of decency and how we treat each other, but it should never go to violence or hate. And when we see politicians making decisions that we know hurt people, especially lately decisions that hurt kids, I mean, how many kids are killed by guns because politicians refuse to stand up to the gun companies and the NRA? You have to question that. How can that be okay? Anyway, with so much happening in the world that can be disturbing and painful that we want to address and change, music that brings us back to our connection to the earth and each other matters. Okay, we're going to wind up this episode of Paradigms with one more song from Shannon Leigh Reynolds' debut album, Triple Shot. It's a song we talked about. You'll recognize it. You know this one. It's called Mystery Train. It's really fun. Enjoy the music. Let the word for the week be grounding. Let's ground ourselves. And what does that mean? It means let's really feel the earth beneath us and recognize that we're part of it. Not just as an idea, but literally touch the earth and feel your connection with it. If you do that once this week, at least, that would be great. It will make you feel good. And the more of us that do it, the better. So the word for the week is grounding. All right, Baruch signing off for this episode of Paradigms. We'll be back next time with more inspiring people. Until then, ground. Feel the ground. And be well.
Train
You've been listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life.